What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Desiree, and if you are new here, thank you for stopping by. And I'm so excited because today's video is my first episode of my new series that I'm going to be doing here on my channel, and it's called Coffee Chats with Des. I've been wanting to do a sit-down video for a really long time, and I love drinking coffee and I love chatting with people. And as you guys know, I'm always doing a whole lot of chatting and just chit-chatting with y'all on my vlogs. And I was like, you know what? How about I do two things that I like to do, which is drink coffee, okay? This can be like a really chill slash series where I'm kind of talking about like my experiences and what I have learned from different topics I'm going to be talking about in each episode. And I just feel like it will give me a chance in these sit down coffee chat videos to kind of just talk about what I might be going through or what I might have been through or what I learned from the experience. So these coffee chat sit down videos are going to be a little bit about talking about friendships, talking about growth, talking about healing, talking about singleness, talking about faith, talking about my faith, and talking about, you know, navigating life as an adult, navigating life as someone who's in their late 20s, for some of you all can relate, and just navigating life as someone who, you know, have a learning disability, who struggled in school, who's always persevering. I've been through a lot in my life. I feel like I have a lot of just, I don't know, I learned so much, and I feel like I have so much to share that I feel like these coffee chat videos will give me a chance for you all to kind of get to know me a little better and kind of get my perspective on different things and topics. And maybe these coffee chats will help you all. In these coffee chats, of course, I'm going to be giving a little advice. So I'm going to be talking about like my experience and what I have learned with whatever topic I'm talking about in each episode. And then, of course, giving some advice and tips for you all to maybe take away from the video. So I'm super excited to be doing this type of sit down, chill, relax, sit down video where I'm just talking. And I hope you guys just enjoy me kind of talking about different topics and my experience and just different things I have learned that maybe you all can take away somehow. So yeah, so go ahead and get you a cup of coffee, or maybe get you some tea, or maybe a kombucha, or get you some water or a snack, and sit down and let's just have a little coffee chat, tea chat, whatever you want to call it. So in this episode, I'm going to be talking about living with your parents in your late 20s, or living with a parent or parents in your late 20s, especially for my people who are 25 and up. I am currently 27, about to be 28 soon. Ooh. And I currently live in the Bay Area, and I live with my parents. I've been living with my parents ever since after undergrad. It's hard out here because it's inflation and things are so expensive, so high. Yeah, I'm just going to chit chat about, you know, living with your parents in your late 20s and what I have learned and all that just. So let's go ahead and talk about it. So let's talk about it. I'm currently living with my parents. As I mentioned earlier, I'm 27 years old. I've been living with my parents ever since, well, forever, but I think the only time I wasn't living with them was when, after community college, I got accepted into UC San Diego and I transferred. And I was pretty much 2 years down in San Diego. Of course, I would come back for the holidays and summer break and then go back down to San Diego, but for the most part, I was away from my parents, per se, for 2 years. And then after I graduated undergrad, I had nowhere to go. Okay, I didn't have no job, and I didn't have no money, which is, yeah. Anyway, that's a whole nother thing. So I was just graduated with my bachelor's degree in psychology from UC San Diego, and I was like, yeah, I guess I'm going back to the Bay Area. Of course, after undergrad, which has been 5 years since I have graduated, which is just so crazy. If you haven't seen any of my vlogs or any other my channel, I do have my story time video where I talk about my learning disability story, where I go a little more into depth about my academic background and experience. And so if you want to get some kind of clarity and experience, like kind of understanding about my educational and kind of like academic background, go ahead and watch that video. But yeah, I went to community college, and then I transferred to UC San Diego. Then I didn't know what I wanted to do for the most part after undergrad, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna apply for my master's like 2 or 3 years later. But here we are. I'm currently a community college counselor, if you all didn't know, and I'm basically working in higher education, and I love working in higher education, specifically academic advising, career and personal counseling and guidance. So I love it, and I recently got my master's degree last December. That's a little like short little intro summary about who I am and kind of like what I do, you know, as my job. And of course I do YouTube as my passion. I call it my passion project because I absolutely love making videos and editing and just, you know, talking and giving advice. So that's a little bit about me. After graduation, I came back home. I, of course, experienced the post-grad blues real bad because I thought I wanted to be an occupational therapist, but God said no. Okay, God was like, now you know you're not good at math and science. And he was right. He's like, what was I thinking? So after a year of trying to figure it out and working a job that I hated, I was an activities assistant for like a nursing facility. That was horrible. And I figured out, I was like, okay, I want to work in higher ed. I really like it. My dad gave me like, he was like, you're always good with helping students and you help students and always worked on campus. And I was like, well, perfect. Let me just do that. And then I end up working at a community college. Then I got into grad school around, I think January. I got accepted around like November of 2020, started grad school January of 2021. And of course, when you're in grad school, like it's already a struggle and grind. And I wasn't working full time, so there was no way I can like try to move out of my parents' house and, you know, do all these things, and I don't have no money. It's always I don't have no money, but also I think a big part of people living with their parents or a guardian or a parent is that a lot of folks don't want to move in with roommates and other people that they don't know. Personally, for me, that was my experience. And overall, my parents, I have always lived in a very peaceful household. I'm very blessed, very grateful. I come from a 2-parent household, and my parents have always, like, my home has always been very, like, my safe space, like, you know, and I'll be excited to come home, like, okay, I'm ready to go home, bye world, you know. And so my parents have always created a really safe space and a safe environment at home, and I have always felt at ease, my most comfortable, my most, like, I can really relax at home, and I'm already kind of a homebody as it is. And so I have a healthy relationship with my parents, and I do have a healthy relationship with my sister and all that. But I think, you know, of course, you know, a few years ago I thought about moving out, but then I was like, who would I move in with? And I don't, you know, I ain't moving in with no man. You can call me traditional, old school, whatever, but I ain't moving in with no man until he put a ring on it. And I'm not really moving in with any roommates or any of my friends because I love my friends too much to move in with them. So after having roommates at UC San Diego and living with a bunch of girls for 2 years, I realized, you know, it's not gonna work out. I can't live with girls. I can't live with 4 or 5 girls. I can't live with strangers. You know, I could because I had to, and that's what I had to do. But I was like, if it was my choice, I would definitely not be moving in with people. And so I made that promise to myself after graduating UC San Diego. I was like, yeah, when I move out of my parents' house, I'm gonna move out by myself unless I miraculously get married or engaged, like, you know, real quick, engaged and then married, and then I'm like, okay, I'm moving with my husband. But until then, I'm just gonna move out by myself. And so that's been kind of my word, kind of my promise to myself that I have kept thus far. And I told myself I don't want to move out for the sake of just moving out. I want to move out when I'm like when I'm financially stable, when I have steady income, when I have saved up enough. And the fact is that and I think a lot of you all can relate, especially if you live in a city where it's super expensive, or you live in a state where it's like rent prices is outrageous, which rent prices is outrageous everywhere. But I live in California. I live in the Bay Area, okay? Like, y'all already know. I don't have to explain to y'all how expensive the rent is here. Rent is so expensive, and it's honestly very hard. You know, a lot of people can't make it by themselves with one income, like living by themselves and trying to pay rent. It takes, you know, maybe two incomes, or just maybe you have like a really great well-paying job and you can pay your own rent and everything. And so that's kind of currently where I'm at. You know, I still live in my hometown that I have grew up in. And the thing is that I'm so desperately ready to spread my wings and move out and be on my own, because I know you all probably can relate to me, but you love your parents, you love your family, but you know, I think I saw a TikTok where it was like, okay, I'm saving money living with my parents, however, in my family, however, I'm paying with my mental health. Luckily, I don't think I'm like paying significantly with my mental health, but I think it's just like little things that kind of irritate me, and little things that like I'm like, okay, I'm just ready. I love my family a lot, however, I don't know, something about reaching, you know, when you're turning in your late, when you hit 25 or 26, you're like, it's time to go. That's kind of where I've been at. And if you all have been following my other series here on my channel, which is my Life After Grad School series, I kind of talk a little bit about living with my parents and kind of feeling like, you know, I'm not where where I thought I would be. At 27, I thought I would have an apartment. I thought I'd be living my best life somewhere. No. I just graduated grad school like a few months ago, and I have been applying to jobs. Like, I have a part-time position. I am a counselor. However, as a community college counselor in California, is an extremely competitive field, and you would never thought, our subfield within higher ed, and it's very competitive because the pay is good and the benefits is good. So your girl been out here struggling when it comes to getting a full-time position. I have applied to so many part-time and full-time, and I'm just currently waiting. It personally has been difficult wanting to move out of my parents' house. However, not having a stable income, or not having enough funds to move out and pay for rent. And so here I am, just, you know, being steady and being patient. And God has been teaching me so much patience in this waiting season of my life. Being on a job, waiting in my singleness, waiting in, you know, waiting to move out. It's a whole lot of waiting going on, okay? It's a whole lot of waiting going on right now, and I feel like sometimes we have to endure and just wait and just be content in where we're at, even though it's difficult. I don't want to make any decisions that I'm going to regret. You know, I see a lot of people who who moved out of their parents' house, and then they had to move back to their parents' house. And I told myself, I do not want that. Once I move out of my parents' house, I'm moving out of my parents' house. You know, I'm not the only one who live with their parents. And I have friends, I have acquaintances and people I know who live with their parents, and they're working, they're grinding, working. They might be in school. They are working a 9-to-5 job. I mean, working hard so they can save up for either a house or save up to move out. And so in the Bay Area, is extremely expensive to move out of your parents' house, or to afford a housing or afford rent. And I think it's becoming more common to live with your parents and to save money and to be smart about, you know, making the big decision to move out, because you want to make sure it's the best choice for you financially. And so yeah, I'm not alone. There's a lot of folks out here living with their parents because the Bay Area is extremely expensive. inflation has like really taken people out, and a lot of people are struggling like myself, okay? And it's hard, it's really difficult. And so I have learned that in this season of waiting, I'm just gonna have to endure and hold on just a little tight. If you are in your late 20s, 25 and up, and if you are living with your parents, I just want to tell you that you are definitely not alone. I'm right there with you. And all I can say is I am actually very happy that I haven't moved out of my parents' house, because it has saved me money. I have been able to pay off my car. I've been able to save significantly, and I have to say I'm not overwhelmed or stressed out about rent. And I'm eventually going to move out. I don't know when or what the timeline of when I'm going to move out. When I move out, it's going to be the right time. I'm going to be financially stable. Income is going to be flowing, and that's when I'll be like, okay, I can move out now. But until then, I'm here, I'm steady, and I'm just dealing with it, and I just have to stay put. So if you are 25 and up and you are feeling down and discouraged because you live with your parents and maybe your mental health is taking a hit, I want to encourage you just to hold on tight, and everything is going to work out in the right timing. And another thing, you just want to make the right financial decision. So sometimes staying with your parents, living with your parents for maybe 2 or 3 years until you have enough money saved up to buy a house, or you're able to pay for rent, is the smartest thing to do. That's like smart. That's very adult-like of you to do. So you want to make sure you're making the right decision, and you're being careful with whatever decision you're making. Maybe you're being called to move to a different city, and you're like, God has told me I need to just take a leap of faith, and you're like, you're broke, you don't have a lot of money, but you feel very called to move, then so be it. Then you do what's best for you. But I think what I have learned with living with my parents is that sometimes we have to make choices or have to be in a season or in a situation where we might not be, our mental health might be taking a hit, or we might not be happy with the situation, but at the end it's the smartest decision. So living with your parent might be the best thing until you're able to get back on your feet, or to be able to afford rent, or to buy a house. And so I think it's all about being smart, and also it's a matter of being content with where you're at and not comparing yourself to other people. And that's something I want to talk about real quick before I end this first episode of the coffee chat. But one thing that I have also learned, and I had to kind of check myself constantly, is that I have to be grateful and content with where I'm at in life, and that sometime when I might look at somebody else on social media, or someone I know who moved into their apartment or a house or getting married, and I'm like, ooh, here I am in my late 20s living with my parents and single. Okay. I'm like, all right, God, when is my time? Sometimes we can compare ourselves to other people and what they have going on, and then we look at our lives and we're like, what's happening? Sometimes we see everybody on social media and it seems like they're living their best life, or it seems like they are driving the best car, the luxurious car, going on trips and living their best life. You look at your own life, and of course you start comparing yourself to them. I just want to say and encourage anybody out there, don't compare yourself to other people. Of course, we all know that, but I'm always constantly checking myself not to compare my situation and my life to other people. And as I get older, I realize that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. Everything has always worked out and has been in God's perfect timing for everything in my life. Despite living with my parents, or despite not being where I might want to be, I'm exactly where I need to be. And I'm happy, I'm whole, and I'm in a good place mentally and spiritually. I think that's more important than, having the best driving car, are living in the best apartment. I think, you know, a lot of people we see on social media is people highlight reels. We don't see what they're, how they got there, and maybe what they're currently going through mentally, because it can be one thing, they can be taking trips and it seems like they're living their best life, but they're also struggling their mental health, or maybe they're dealing with the illness. You never know what people are dealing with just based off of what they're posting online. And so I think it's important that as we grow, as we heal, as we just continue to live this thing called life, it's really important that we are concerned about our own life and our own race. Like, it's we can't compare ourselves to other people. It's a marathon, right? And so you can only worry about your marathon, your life path, and what God has for you, and not what God has for other people. And so God has checked me a lot in this year, in 2023, and I so desperately in the beginning of the year was so down on myself, because I'm like, oh my goodness, I live with my parents, I want to move out, I'm tired of being in my hometown, I'm over it. But God has really spoken to me through his word, through prayer, that I'm like, he's like, you need to be happy for where you're at. You have a roof over your head, you have clothes to wear, you have money in the bank, okay? You have all that you need. I have provided you with all you need. It might not be everything that you want, but you have what you need to live life and to be happy and to just be content with where you're at. And I'm like, wow, okay. So I feel like I feel a lot more, I don't know, content and happy with where I'm at, despite not being where I want to be, despite not having a full-time counselor position while are waiting for a full-time counselor position, despite not moving out of my parents' house yet, despite not moving out of my hometown yet. But I am exactly where I need to be. And so I believe this season of my life is preparing me for the next season, and God might be doing the same for you. So if you are currently living with your parents in your late 20s, I want to tell you, keep the faith, stay strong, and just remember that while you're living with your parents, continue to work on your goals, continue to save money, continue to work hard so you can buy that apartment, so you can buy that house, so you can move to maybe out the country or to a different state. I feel like because I live with my parents and I have stability in terms of my housing situation, I can focus on other things like my YouTube, and just focus on different things that I'm trying to accomplish, specifically applying for jobs, and, you know, kind of getting situated with my new role as a community college counselor in my career that I so desperately prayed for. And I think I saw something on Instagram. I'm gonna pop it up if I can find it. I went like, be content with where you're at now, because this is what you prayed for. You're where you're at right now is what you prayed to God for a few years ago. And that, I mean, that I was like, ain't that the truth? Because it is where I'm at right now in my career, becoming a community college counselor, graduating with my master's degree. Wait, forget my master's. Graduating with my bachelor's degree 5 years ago is what I prayed to God about when I was a little girl, struggling with a learning disability, okay? I had a principal tell my parents that I don't think she'll be able to go to college because I had a disability. I have had people tell me I couldn't do something, I couldn't do it, that I'm gonna fail, and look at me where I'm at. Okay? I'm like, and I prayed as a little girl, I'm like, God, I pray, Lord, that maybe one day that you can help me get to college and that you'll help me obtain my bachelor's degree. He did. And I prayed to God, I'm like, God, if it's for me, I pray, Lord, that you help me to get into a master's program and help me graduate. He did. Okay, can I get an amen? God did it. And while in grad school, I prayed, Lord, please help me to obtain a part-time counselor position after grad school if it's in your will for me. He did. And I have a part-time counselor position and I love it and I'm learning a lot. Where I'm at in life right now is what I prayed for. Where I'm at in life, let me say it again, where I'm at in life is what I prayed for. And sometimes we are so focused on the negatives and everything that's going wrong in our life instead of all the good that's going on in our life. And as I'm getting older, I'm learning to focus more on the good, the positives, than the negatives in my life. And the positive is that I'm healthy, I'm whole, my family's doing well, they're safe and sound. You know, I'm safe, I have exactly what I need, and I have a roof over my head, I have a job, I have everything I need. And as I get older, I'm just focusing on the good instead of the bad. And I want to encourage you all to focus on what you do have and not so much of what you don't have. Recently, for the past 2 weeks, I just been more in gratitude, and really the first thing I do when I wake up is just saying thank you, God, for all that you have blessed me with. Thank you, God, for the relationships you have put in my life. Thank you, God, for roof over my head, clothes to wear. Like, I'm really grateful and thankful for where I'm at in life. And also, of course, you know, actively put in the work to get to where I want to go, but also being content and happy while working hard for where I'm trying to go. And so I think that's what you got to be: grateful, put in the work, work hard so you can move out of your parents' house. I just want to say I definitely understand that there's some people who are currently living in a household where it's toxic. It's, you know, it's not a good environment, and when it comes to that, sometimes you have to make the right decision for you, which is moving out, especially if it's toxic, especially if it's, you know, interfering your mental health or whatever you're going through. Sometimes living with your parents or guardian or family, sometimes not all families get along, not all families can live together and be together in one household, and I definitely understand that. And if that's your experience, I'm gonna be praying for you. I'm, you know, lift you, sending you positive vibes, and hopefully you can kind of figure out that situation and get out of that situation if that's you. Well, y'all, I have done enough talking for this first episode of Coffee Chats with Des, and I hope you all enjoyed this sit down, kind of chill, sit down video content. I'm excited to do more of these episodes and videos. I just love listening to people's perspectives and experiences, and I hope you all can get something from this video. Maybe you can relate. Comment down below if you are currently living with your parents and you are navigating life living with a family member, or you're in your late 20s and you out here struggling like I am. I don't know, comment down below. Let's encourage one another in the comment section below. I think, you know, sometimes we feel like we're alone, and then we find people on TikTok and Instagram and even YouTube, and they're talking about the experience that they're currently in. Like, I thought I was alone, but you're not alone. There's always people going through what you're going through. I hope you all enjoyed this video and the topic that I decided to talk about in this episode 1. Give this video a thumbs up, comment down below, and if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my channel for more content, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.